The Christian Marriage Covenant, A Higher Standard of Marriage. Chapter 1. A Higher Standard of Marriage. Christian Marriage Covenant. I'm committing to love my spouse no matter what, which is what God desires for us. A Christian love covenant is a concept I saw on one of them daily hour-long Christian TV shows with some guy hawking his 6-tape program about a love covenant. Basically, his concept was that God made a covenant with his chosen people, the Jews, in the Old Testament. Abraham offered to sacrifice his son in his covenant with God while God was good to his people. The gist of it is that your spouse becomes part of you and you become a part of him or her. It's for life no matter what. You make an effort through the hard times rather than bailing out. Unlike a contract that can be broken if one side violates one of its rules, a covenant is more like a pledge that sticks no matter what. You live in each other. There are a number of things that become intertwined between the two of you, a kind of mutual ownership. You each give what you have and own what the other has. Some of these facets are as follows. Material things, what you each have, you now share with each other wholly. Defenses, you let your defenses down, all your psychological ploys in order to try to relate to your spouse openly all the time. Legally, you give each other power of attorney or ownership of your affairs. Your spouse can sign for you or represent you in anything. As a legal entity, you become one. A prenuptial agreement has no business in a sacred marriage because it would be imposing conditions on it. You make a so-called blood covenant. In the past, people pricked their fingers and mixed their blood. This is symbolic of helping and supporting each other in good times and in bad, no matter what, till death do you part. You become one spiritually. You are soulmates, so to speak. Love each other as one, subordinate only to God. Share knowledge with each other. Have fun. The above points are not my words. They're what I gleaned from this guy who I thought was living in some ancient Old Testament fantasy world, but it's his right to do so. You can take what you want from his information or take nothing at all, but the idea of a Christian love covenant is good if you're a serious Christian with a serious agenda to live a God-centered, monogamous life. Consider talking it out and developing some kind of covenant where each person states his likes, dislikes, expectations, plans and needs, and the other agrees to respect them, understand them, and try to abide by them. Honor, value and nourish your spouse. That's your covenant with them. Agape love is love in action, a decision of loving even when it's tough, devoid of emotion. 1 Peter 3:7-8 says, love your wife and show her honor. Make a covenant, a declaration of love. True love complements each other as a perfectly created match, two masterpieces in one. Honor, nourish, and cherish each other. You must dedicate yourself to each other. You will see the face of God in the love for each other, the love for your family and the love your church community. According to God's law, marriage is not a contract but a covenant based on unconditional love between you and him and you and your partner. If you feel weak in the marriage, pray about it. Because marriage is a covenant based on unconditional love, it has to go beyond the feeling of the moment synonymous with current Western pop culture love. What this means in plain English is that you mustn't rely on your emotions as the gauge of love. It has to be a more permanent. Even when you don't feel so loving, you keep it in and still act loving on the outside to ride out the storm. In the non-Christian world, the concept of a covenant marriage has been bandied about in order to make marriages and divorces harder to get. Before you can marry in areas that are instituting these stringent marriage laws, you need to take a premarital course and agree to marital terms in a personal marriage agreement. A divorce will not be granted until the couple is married for at least 18 months, and even then, before the courts will allow the couple to divorce, they must take some other kind of counseling course in the hopes that it will save the marriage. They say they're doing this because the courts are overwhelmed with both people applying for marriage and divorce licenses. It's too easy. They want to make it harder so that people think twice before taking these big steps. The stringent marriage/divorce proof contract. It ought to be as hard to get into marriage as it is to get out of it. The no-fault divorce is rampant and some marriages are doomed from the start, so there seems to be a backlash in some circles, such as within the governments of Louisiana and Arizona, which have passed laws making people take premarital courses, then after the marriage before they're allowed to file for divorce, they must wait for 2 years after they apply. Through this process of making divorces tougher, the law hopes to make people think twice before they blindly go into marriage. Several other states are doing the same. Florida has a 4-hour premarital course which will give you a $32 discount on the marriage license if you take it. Other states are following suit because the costs of divorce are so high on the government. Many couples are coming up with contracts of their own, which are basically agreements where each state what they want and what they hope to contribute. This spells everything out and makes it all crystal clear on paper, so everyone knows going in what they're accountable for. It might not be worth much in the legal sense, but at least it gives each person an idea as to what their partner expects of them. For example, the guy might want the wife to cook supper every night and give him 3 kids. The girl might want the guy to help out with the housework and go out for a date 1 night a week. Both sign the contract and they're supposed to be used only as guidelines, but I suppose if one violates a clause, the other could use that against them in divorce court. Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in quickie no-fault divorces. The Bible says divorces are allowed only in cases of adultery, so they try to counsel the people back into the marriage. You could write up a contract between the two of you to agree that if the marriage gets rocky, you will try to make a go of it and not divorce for 2 years after the marriage. Divorcereform.org talks about laws to make divorces harder to get. Covenant marriage. There are 2 types of marriage covenant, one based on Christian principles, the other a civil contract to go into the marriage with certain rules and obligations. A covenant marriage is an effort to lower soaring divorce rates by creating a legally binding contract available currently only in Arkansas, Arizona, and Louisiana, whereby a contract is filed at the county courthouse which upgrades marriages into a deeper commitment and makes divorces harder to get. The bottom line of covenant marriage laws is that they make it harder for a couple to get a divorce by instilling mandatory conditions like a waiting period and counseling. It's a strengthening of the marriage vows, often done in a public religious ceremony where the couple agrees to seek counseling before filing for divorce and to undergo a 2-year cooling-off period before actually filing for divorce. All couples must get premarital and aftermarital counseling, and except for cases for adultery, abuse, or abandonment, they must wait 2 years to finalize a divorce. CovenantMarriage.com. Covenant Marriage Movement. MSN 51. 127, 9th Avenue North. Nashville, Tennessee, 37234. 800-268-1343. Covenant Marriage at Lifeway.com. Lifeway.com/Disciple Plus. Covenant Marriage websites. supreme.state.az.us/dr/pdf/covenant.pdf, Covenant Marriage in Arizona. FamilyLife.com/resources/AR_covenant.asp. abcnews.com, type in Covenant Marriage. Ablistwedding.com. americasdebate.com, go to marriage contracts. archives.his.com/smartmarriages. arkansas.gov/governor/program/covenant_marriage. asklm.com/doctrine/d870301.htm. covenantkeepersinc.org. covenantkeepersinc.org/links.htm. covenantmarriage.ca. covenantmarriage.com. covenantmarriages.com. covenantweddingsource.com. cprmarriageministry.org, Covenant Partner Marriage Restoration. dads.org, Catholic Fathers. divorcereform.org. formarriage.info. impactchristianbooks.com, book The Marriage Covenant by Derek Prince. info.com/marriage. LafayetteParishClerk.com/covenantmarriage.html. law.cornell.edu/usca/index.html. lawpeaceided.com/covenantmarriage.htm. library.catholic.org/marriage/marriage35.text. marriagealliance.org. marriagedebate.com. marriage.org. marriage.rutgers.edu/publications. members.aol.com/kptacek/gc.html. namiinline.net/pages/cmm.php, Covenant Marriage Movement, National Association of Marriage. nrchristian.com/marriage.htm. ohiomarriageresources.org/rac23.htm. oneplace.com/ministries/the_first_word. realitycheckpress.com/covenantwedding.htm, Covenant Marriage Certificates. religiostolerance.org/mar_cove.htm. savingthemarriage.com/covenant_marriage.shtml. successfulstepfamilies.com, audio article Covenant Marriage, a marriage to last a lifetime. supreme.state.az.us/dr/pdf/covenant.pdf. Covenant Marriage Movement. MSN 51. 127, 9th Avenue North. Nashville, Tennessee, 37234. 800-268-1343. Covenant Marriage at lifeway.com. lifeway.com/disciple plus.